Welcome to Your Money Story. I am Dawn Thomas, a mother of three, financial advisor by day, and a PhD candidate researching the superannuation experience of Generation Z. This podcast provides a platform for stories which are underrepresented. Everyone's money story is unique. My guests are people who conduct their lives with purpose, authenticity, and are not afraid to be different. They stand out within their industries for being themselves. I hope their journeys inspire you to harness your own gifts and talents. I am a believer in living your truth each day. Let's change how the story ends. In the spirit of reconciliation, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. The information discussed in this podcast does not take into account your personal and financial objectives and situation. Before acting on any information discussed here, you should consider its appropriateness, having regard for your objectives, needs, and financial position. A very warm welcome to our guest in this episode, Daniel Jackson. Now, Daniel, you had such a wonderful welcome for me when I came on your podcast. So this is a reverse of situations because I was just recently interviewed by you and I had such fun with that. So I hope to return the favor. Dan, you've got a whole list of accolades that you have, around your academic achievements. You've got your industry awards as well, winning Transformation of the Year, the first ever Transformation of the Year award. You are a finalist in the Industry Thought Leader Award, National Ducks as well. There's a lot that's going on there, and we know you as Daniel Jackson from financial planning. Tell us about Dan before financial planning.
I think when it comes to Dan before financial planning, that's like a whole past life for me that people just sit there and go, how did that happen? That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah.
So for me, my original journey was when I was 17, I actually started my first business.
Yep.
And it was in the construction industry, and that was going really good. I had big plans to become a property developer and everything. And in 2009, we got heavily involved in the home insulation program. And for that, it was a good opportunity for us to build our industry in that, because that's predominantly where my construction industry was in. And in 2010, that program was sort of like taken away from promise with 15 minutes notice. A lot of people talk about the Royal Commission for the Financial Planning, but for that went over a span of 2-3 years where all these changes happened. We literally had 15 minutes notice that the program was going to come to an end. And when it came to an end, there was hundreds of millions of the business owners. There was no communication. There was no anything. And at the time, it was sort of like somebody really had to step up in the role.
Mm.
And for those who followed it or remember back around that, February to June, there was these two kids from the country that literally went up to the steps of Parliament and gave a presentation on their plea, saying, we need to have the business owners paid, we need to pay our employees, we need to have this. And that was actually me and my wife. And
Wow.
by doing that, it was sort of started this whole roller coaster that you can never imagine. It was sort of, we went from being two kids in the country thinking, well, what a great idea to get up on stage and, plead our case, to within hours we were doing interviews with Ross Greenwood, Darren Hedge, Paul Murray. We were hundreds of installers were contacting us, wanting us to represent them. And pretty much straight away, we went from being two kids in the country trying to, fight off bankruptcy, trying to raise two kids, between the ages of 9 and 5, to suddenly being this leader in an industry, an advocate for all installers. We were dealing with the media, we were dealing with lawyers. We pushed for the first Royal Commission of last decade. I do apologise for that, Australia. I didn't think there'd be so many Royal Commissions following that. But the outcome was, over this whole period of time, we actually sort of had a role to play in Kevin Rudd being fired the first time. We uh, allegedly helped with mediation, allegedly helping, I think it was about 350 businesses recover about $150 million. And from that, I actually started to get a passion of wanting to help people, especially the small
Mm.
business owners. And when I looked at all of the career options, financial planning seemed to be the sort of like the ultimate way I could do that.
Yeah, and the thing is that where you are right now, you are such a fixture of the profession, such an important part of our profession. I feel that you are instrumental in helping a lot of people succeed and move forward, me included. You're such a positive force. I guess that advocacy bit and leadership bit, it sounds like it's been with you for a while. It's just that you've used that experience that was really quite challenging for you and your wife and bringing it into advice. Would that be a fair comment?
I believe, yeah, that would be a very fair comment. Just sort of one of those, when you find yourself in difficult times, you really have a choice. You can, let it take over you and bring you down, or you can rise above it and overcome it. And if you choose to rise above it, to help as many of your colleagues as you can in the process, and together we all rise.
Was the Royal Commission for Financial Planning, how did that impact you after what you've already gone through the first time?
So, with the Royal Commission from the financial planning compared to the home installation program, I describe it like a perfect reversal of events. So, everything that happened through the home installation program sort of ended with the Royal Commission.
Mm.
With everything in financial planning, it actually started with the Royal Commission. So, I was better prepared to work with advisors and business owners suffering mental illness or feeling the pressure of it because we eventually went through all that leading up to the Royal Commission in originally. Going from there onwards, we found the series of events. We had the Royal Commission, we had massive industry changes, we had people struggling
Yes.
with it, we had to try and overcome it. That experience from the first one sort of prepared me for the next step that we go.
Mm.
Coincidentally, from the very first Royal Commission, like the home installation program, it all began where consumers were being affected. Now we're at the stage in the financial planning profession where consumers are now being affected.
I mean, what's your view on how we've kind of ended up as a profession in
Yeah.
the last 5 years?
So for the mental well-being and for our emotional and everything, uh, I actually open up a lot of conversations. So when we first went through the Royal Commission, I then transitioned from Royal Commission environment to the bowler environment.
Mm.
And we did not talk about it at all with anyone. We didn't talk about our feelings. We didn't talk about our emotions. I actually remember being there with a in a industry award event as a finalist, and they were talking all about it. And I was actually struggling being there,
Mm.
hearing people talk about it because we actually didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And so my view from going from that is that we actually need to start talking to our peers and actually need to start listening to each other.
Yes. Which you do
Uh,
really well. I feel like you really create the space for people to open up to you around this, and that's very much appreciated. Now, I was with you at conference in for the AFA conference, and I saw that reaction from you. Remember how we was it Michelle Levy's session or one of the sessions that you're talking about FDS, right? FDS became part of all our lives, and this had to be done, and that had to be lost. I could actually see the physical reaction from you. What is triggering to you about those conversations that are just happening like that?
yeah. So with the bowler and look back audits, uh, a lot of people see it as a bad thing because of the experience that they got from it. I actually
Mm.
saw it as a good opportunity to learn from it as well.
Mm.
So we're looking at things being done at a whole new extreme, sort of not like a what could go wrong, can go wrong scenario.
Yeah.
And when especially with that particular topic on the FDSs, we sit
Yeah.
back and I go, well, have you actually asked people that went through that experience what they discovered? So we've often hear people say, we need to brush that aside. We don't need to
Mm,
remember that. Let's all move on. But for those of us that actually went through it, we had that education that nobody else had.
mm,
There are certain documents where you look at and go, well, no, you want those in your corner if something goes wrong. If you're getting audited, you want to have those there with you, because for the sake of a 15, 20-minute document to prepare and get signed could save you hundreds of hours of heartache down the track.
yeah, yeah,
And so that's what was triggering me from those, just from that experience of what we learned,
yeah.
how one wording done a certain way could make a break or an advisor.
Yeah, it became like such, it swings, right? It swings from one end to the other. And you kind of go that I can understand why that happened, because of certain practices that were there, and there was an argument for us to have changes that helped us being seen as a profession, right? So I am in favor of us being recognized as a profession. I know that you are as well. But then some of the smaller things that we were expected to do advisors was sometimes I think almost like dehumanizing. Would you say like we had everything questioned about us as a profession, like our values, our integrity, are we trustworthy? Uh,
I think it made us vulnerable.
yeah.
It's sort of in one aspect, it probably knocked us down a few levels compared to
Mm,
what it was like in pre-Royal Commission, pre-profession stages. Um, and I think that it did humanize us, but it also became a reflection of who we wanted to be be seen by the public.
yes.
So when I did my master's degree, I'd studied, what is the value of ongoing advice,
Mm,
being a hot topic of the Royal Commission, why we're getting paid fees and everything. And I discovered that if you actually map it out from about 2001 or even a bit further back to the mid 90s, when you look at the articles from the FPA, the AFA, we were all moving to that profession stage, but we're doing it at a very slow, steady rate that if we kept going, it would have been about 2035 before
mm.
we got to where we are now. The Royal Commission just slingshotted us up. And being like in any slingshot, you're sitting there, you're inertia, and then you just get fired in the air. That shock of it all just kind of just hit us all at once.
Do you think we're in a better place now than 5 years ago?
I think that as advisors, we're in a better place. I think our
Mm,
clients are in a better place. I think Australia's in a better place. And I think, the world's in a better place for where we are now. We have, I would look at strategies that, reflect on strategies I wrote back around 2015 to 2017. And I look at the quality of the strategy that we write today and I think, wow, look how far we've come. If we actually went
mm.
back then and wrote what we wrote now, imagine what the clients would be like today.
Yeah.
Sort of we can't plant a tree 10 years ago, but we now planted a new tree. To make it much better for everyone involved.
Dan, you've got like such a zest and love for a profession, right? I think it is something like it's like it's not a hobby for you. I think it's who you've become. I mean, why do you care that much about how the whole profession does as opposed to just how you do as an individual?
That's a really good question, Donna. Okay. I think I've got these rules in life. If you're going to do anything, you might as well do it with passion and let it be, helping a client, helping an advisor, everything you do. If you're going to do something, you do what you are, not, you don't become what you do.
Mm,
And I believe with the passion that I've got for this industry, looking at, the benefits it does for clients and that sort of just drives me to want to make the whole profession much better for all involved. My philosophy was, I could help 10 clients, and I've helped 10 clients. But if I help 10 advisors help 10 clients, I've ultimately helped 100 people in the process. So,
yeah. So you're just maximizing the impact that you can have.
calling it synergy, really good synergy, or what I like to refer to, especially from the bowler days, is a positive ripple effect.
Mm, okay. So if we look back again,
Yep, looking back,
I,
yep.
I am reminiscing on how we met as well because we knew of each other at the 2019 AFA conference, but we didn't actually connect as yet. because I think both of us were definitely, it was quite an overwhelming experience for me being part of my awards category, and then you had your awards category, and you know how you kind of like you circled in with the other finalists. How did you feel at that conference, when you were there as a finalist for your award?
Felt really as a finalist at the conference.
Yeah.
I felt like a rock star. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I own this place. I'm walking around with my head held high. I'm shaking hands. I got Phil Curran walking past going, "G'day, Daniel. How are you?" I'm like, he was like, "Whoa, the boss is saying hello." I'm like, "I've made it." So so with conference, that's how I felt. It was just like this aura of like, wow, just, you're more than just one of the attendees at this point.
It was
But
warm. It was a very warm welcome, wasn't it? I felt like I had never experienced anything like that in my life. So when I went there for the 2019 AFA conference, I felt the community was ready to embrace all of us.
yeah,
Maybe in a way, I felt I didn't even know what community was till I stepped into that conference and met such amazing people that were really happy to cheer us on. I don't. Is that the sense you got as well? They were quite genuine with really celebrating your journey.
yeah, it was amazing. Just random people you talk to, they come up to you and they start chatting. They're telling you a little bit about their story and vice
Mm,
versa. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was I think really overwhelming for me in one
yeah,
aspect. It was a completely different environment to what I was used to at that point in time because we had just gone through changes in a certain licensee that changed certain fee structure, things like that. So we've gone from this
yeah,
really sort of an environment where of uncertainty to this new environment of like, wow, you're
yeah.
right out there. It was sort of like slingshot between those two. It was a little bit overwhelming.
Mm,
Like you said, it would just showed what a community we were.
yeah,
I think that conference was probably that turning point for me to show that yes, the industry is bigger than we all think,
yeah.
and we are all here for each other.
No, I agree. I feel that that conference was like an awakening for me
Mm.
in terms of how you could connect with your community and then actually grow your impact. And I've met so many amazing people through that experience, including you. Because even though we didn't interact at that conference, we did connect after that. Because even though we had our own little bubbles happening at the conference, you were part of a lot of the media that was being released by Association of Financial Advisors. And I remember you doing this, was it called like a top 8 or something? Where they asked you about different
Oh,
stuff
cool.
and you had your photo there with your motorbike. And then you had put there very boldly, you were going for the education, what education of the year award, education excellence of the year award. And like,
Yep.
whoa, you go. I was like, he's putting it down on paper. You were trying to chase it down.
I I was actually running in the running for that year as well.
Yeah.
I was actually shortlisted for the education award, and I got the full story afterwards that my friends at Kaplan actually wanted me to go to that one, and
Yeah.
they decided to put me in the Rising Star. So when I found out, I'm like, yes, I'm going for that award. Ben, I'm taking it off you, buddy. I'm sorry. You can enjoy it for a year. I'm coming to grab that one. Unfortunately, they never offered it again, and I
Yeah.
still haven't been able to win it. But the second it's out there, I will go for that award.
Well, you did win Transformation of the Year though at IFA. How would
And
you
and so did you.
compare? Well, today's not about me. Seeing how the education excellence was on the agenda, and then that was taken off the agenda just because
Mhm.
of it never being released again. What was the comparison to winning the Transformation of the Year? Did it tick all the boxes that you thought it would tick similarly with education excellence, or did you think that that provided a different feeling in terms of the definition of that award?
I think from a personal level,
Yeah.
the transformation of the year probably meant a lot more for me.
Mm,
Because in the true nature of what the actual award means. So the transformation of the year award is basically adapting to change in a new environment, a new from the industry to the profession. And it's also, that being that positive and proactive in the industry. And I think that actually meant a lot to me coming from that transition from the Royal Commission through the
yeah.
bowler to starting my own business to helping everybody. It was like sort of completed the journey to a point. And yeah, just winning that award, being the first person to win it, I did not expect to win it. That's why I took a bow on stage. I'm like, I'm not expecting to
Ah,
win this at all. And then when the name was called, it was like, wow, okay, this is
yeah.
awkward. I don't have a speech, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. Yeah, I think that was yeah, that award was probably means a lot more to me.
And you see, what I am disappointed in this recording is the top hat is not here today.
I can go get it if you want. It's literally right around the corner.
Okay, I think so. I think we might need the top
You
hat.
want me to go grab it?
Yeah,
I'll
go
go
grab
grab it.
it.
Give me a second. So here's the legendary top hat. Now, did I ever tell you the story behind the top hat?
No, I think you should be sharing it to our listeners because I think the top hat is quite significant to imagery of you if people do come across it. Tell us about that.
Yep. So with the top hat, the story behind the top hat is that I always said to people, why settle for ordinary when you want to be extraordinary?
Mm.
Why not just be yourself? Why not just be the best version of you? And if you really want to stand out in an industry, you need to stand out. So I thought, who do I know that stands out in the industry? I went, Dawn Thomas. She has the beautiful hair, the beautiful outfits. She stands out. She walks into a room, she stands out. I think Ben Nash, he doesn't wear socks. He's got the cool beard. He stands out. So I'm like, if I'm going to stand out, how am I going to stand out? It's like, I know, I'm going to wear a top hat. That's why I actually started wearing the top.
Because it was the top hat was there when you collected your Transformation of the Year award. And I can verify the top hat was there during conference with AFA last year in 2022. So if any of you get to meet Dan again, I think they might be disappointed if you're not having the top hat.
As long as they're prepared to get selfies and photos with the top hat on as well, they're more than welcome to come up and say hello.
You teach at universities, not only teach, but you inspire students. You try and make it fun. You've also set up a group called FFP, the Future of Financial Planning, to help people also progress into this future of financial planning together. You're very passionate about the level of advice that we are giving people. Like, Dad, in terms of doing that, why are you deviating away from just I'm just only going to look after the client? Why is it important for you to also be teaching students about financial planning and then also encouraging them?
So with all the work I've been doing with the teaching and everything, it actually started in 2019 after the Rising Star. Because I was an ambassador for Capricorn Professional and I was in the SRG. And they sent me to TESCRA. And when I went to the TESCRA conference, I actually listened to all the problems that the lecturers and teachers and institutions were having with their students. That I actually realized that financial planners, we are actually becoming students. All of us have to go get our further education. All these issues that they're having are going to impact us. And that's when I realized that there's a high demand for mental health for advisors, high demand for mentoring, high demand for everybody who's actually going to begin their studying, that they're actually going to need a lot of help and support out there. Fortunately for me, I just finished my master's at that stage. I was fresh off my own experience. I was in a good position to actually be able to help people. And I just one thing led to another. And I realized that I was right onto something. Everyone said that a lot of institutions and a lot of people said that, what we were thinking could not be done.
Mm.
So we thought, oh, well, if they can't make it happen, we'll make it happen. And myself and a small group of advisors got together and we actually put it on that, we'll take that challenge and we'll make it, we'll get it going. And it sort of snowballed from there. It's sort of, yeah. So, but it's
Wow.
you've got to have a lot of passion to do it, a lot of patience.
Yes.
And I think when we actually come to actually teaching people, it's the first thing we've got to remember is that one, we all want students, two, that we are students, and three, we just actually got to teach them, help people, help each other, not so much as peers and colleagues, but from a sort of like a more human perspective.
Yeah, and I've come in to one of the classes that you were teaching, and I
And
must
you
say
are
you
awesome.
try. No, I feel like you try and make it really fun for them. I feel like, sometimes there's a bit of disconnect between students learning just theory at university versus really the practical applications when it comes with a job, right? What have been some of your favorite bits of feedback you've gotten through from students in the time that you've been doing teaching?
Oh, that's a very good question. A lot of them are like, wow, they've loved it. I get a lot of Top Gun memes sent to me for feedback. So for those who don't know, when I teach the capstone subject, I feel like where everything comes together,
Yeah,
I call it Top Gun because you've done all the hard work, you've done superannuation, you've done
yeah,
insurances, you've done investments, it's all coming together. You're now the best of the best students. And we're putting through that and just having that mentality of reframing the way people look at it.
yeah.
So it's the same with when I teach people, I reframe that yes, I'm your lecturer, but I'm also here to teach you something new, something different, something from experience. And that's the sort of feedback that I'm getting is a lot of students like that feedback.
Mm.
I notice they don't yawn through my lectures, which is always a good thing. I like to think so.
And you do
You,
it
you're
online as well. I find that hard because you don't know if if you think about how advisors are when we're doing something online, we're usually multitasking.
yep.
So how are you keeping their attention?
I actually am throwing random questions at people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, do you want to see you on my lecture, but your camera's off? What do you think about this, this, and this? And actually, literally get you to come on and give me an answer.
Yeah.
And I do that because, especially in teaching, how to become a financial planner, as financial advisors and planners, we have to be engaging with our client.
Yeah.
And the best way to be engaging is just to keep conversations going
Yeah.
and also be prepared, to answer tough questions when they come up. So we've got to get them at that student level to throw them out there into the deep end and just, yeah. And one thing you teach them is that there's no such thing as a stupid answer.
Mm.
Well, there's no such thing as a wrong answer. It's how you interpret it. And two, not to be afraid to ask questions,
Yes.
which I proved the point of that at conference too, if you remember, of a certain head of Kaplan professional I got a selfie with. Just get people to ask questions no matter how silly they sound.
Oh, and listeners, you have to know that if Dan's at a conference, he will storm the stage. That's
I'm
Daniel
waiting for
Jackson doesn't know limits.
I'm following your next tour. I'm waiting for that, and I'm going to sit down and time it right to jump up on stage with you, Dawn. So I'm hoping you do a book tour one day so I can go and bar that one as well.
The fact that you also have a lot of focus as well on your family, like you when we talk, you talk about, your wife, your daughter, your son, and you missed going to the IFA Awards last year because you chose to, I mean, you were planning to go, you had all plans to go, but then you chose to be there for your daughter. But it was not even like a second thought for you. I mean, that's the way that it came off going, oh, these are my priorities. She's important. How do they inspire you to be the person that you are?
So the journey for me, I actually have to give a lot of credit to my family because they went through the same journey with me as well when I was doing
Mm,
the education myself and I was trying to teach other people and that. And I think my family has always been my rock. They saw that inspiration to be the better version of myself.
yes.
I remember, you like when you first met your child for the first time after going through labor and all that, it sort of just changes you that you think, you know what, my life's going to be different. I want to change things, how to do it.
Mm,
And every time I see my family, I think, if I'm having a bad day and I see them, it's like, well, tomorrow I'm going to have a good day
yeah.
to create that future that I envision for myself. So they're sort of like, yeah, they always, uh, they'll sound cliche, Dawn.
Yeah.
They are the wind beneath my wings.
It's not a cliche. Like I feel, do you know there should be a support group for family members of financial advisors?
Yes, yes, exactly.
We talk a lot about how, we've gone through a lot over the last few years, but our families have gone through a lot. If you think about having to debrief with them on a daily basis of what's going on, I feel like they are almost like, honorary financial planners.
But especially when we talk about our jobs so much, they actually
Yes.
probably know more about the industry than we do now. Like, I go to a party or something, I hear my wife talking to somebody talking about PTR
Yeah.
strategy,
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
knows it inside and out and different insurances, and you're 100% right there.
Future of financial planning is not the only group that you have. you also run a regular session for advisors called the War Tent.
Yep.
And then you've got the way you connect, one way you connect to your closer group of community is your 10K club.
Yeah.
It's exclusive invite only, listeners. So don't expect one.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be, it's sort of like you got to be right there on the A list for that one. And only the best on the A list can come to that one.
So why
So,
why set up, War Tent? You've got these layers. I can see you've got these layers of community. You've got FFP, and then you're doing the YouTube videos to get content out. You've got 10K Club. Why all these little circles?
so it comes down to, I guess, level of value in one aspect,
Mm,
or more so comfortability, or people being comfortable with what they share. So the FFP was sort of to help the greater industry as a whole.
mm-hmm,
For those who are studying, struggling to get through it, or wanting that little bit of help and direction, that I felt most of us didn't have pre 2019. So it's sort of like for the greater community. Then we got the War Tent. So the War Tent is every Monday at 1 o'clock. If you want to come to that, just feel free to send me an email if you're listening to this, and I'll invite
mm,
you to the War Tent. And it's sort of a way to connect advisors with each other, just to have that 1 hour where you can say anything you want. It's not recorded. What happens in the war tent stays in the war tent's the rules, and
mm,
just to talk and just you know be friends, have that casual conversation, especially for self-employed advisors or smaller groups that just want to have that coffee break with somebody. And then 10K. 10K is 10K is designed so people that you can call up at 1 o'clock in the morning and go, and I know this sounds really shady, ladies and gentlemen, but you can call up and go, Dawn, I'm in trouble. I need $10,000. Do not ask any questions. No questions. Do not say anything. Can you help me? And it's sort of like those people that will have your back and that will help you, that you can go to with any problem that you've got, or just need that little extra level of support. So they're like that really super exclusive inner circle group.
yeah.
And I know that sounds really shady. The philosophy is you need 10K, ladies and gentlemen. Not that hard yet. But there's any shady deals going on.
You've brought Jen into that group. Now, Jen uh, was a student of your class,
Yeah.
and now she is working with you, and she sounds like such a promising person in our profession. She really is. Like, she has such a passion for advice. How did that relationship grow, where you could see someone that's really promising, and then you get her into your business, and then she's posting on LinkedIn about how happy life is working with you. You don't see many employees doing that, I must say. Can you explain that relationship and how that evolved?
So the part where she's saying how great it is comes through our core values, and that is treat everyone like a rock star.
Yeah.
Our staff, our clients, our community, everyone's a rock star. So we sort of like really enforce that in the company. How it evolved was I've known Jen, I knew of Jen probably for about 2 years now, really, when I was teaching that, but it was in that last time, the last subject I was lecturing, and she was one of the students.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like if I needed help with something, if I needed somebody to jump in and do a recording, she was willing to give it a go.
Yes.
She was always willing, to ask questions, didn't hesitate answering them and all that. And it sort of worked out that we could actually work together through that.
Mm.
And then after she finished the studying and everything, she approached me for a job, and I said, "Yep, you know what? Let's get back." We discussed it and went from there. And we just felt like we sort of worked well together.
Yes.
And I think if you find people like that in the industry, you've really got to work with them as much as possible, because you sort of have synchronized energy to, know what clients need, know what to look for, what documents need to be prepared, that same mentality. And yeah,
So how do
so
you
just,
provide that mentorship when you are actually not in the same location? Because that's
yeah.
like, I know for me as an advisor, I do like stepping into an office and seeing other people, but the arrangement that you both have works. How do you do that, Dan? Because there could be other people that have a similar setup where they're not working in the same office.
Yeah. So what I do is actually do it all through Zoom.
Yeah.
I have a side monitor on, and say we talk in the morning when we first get together for work. We discuss what we need to for the day and all that. Then I'll leave the camera on, and I just say, if you need me, both put each other on mute. And sort of, if you need one needs the other person just to jump off mute and talk to us. So although we're not there physically in location, we're still there together via modern technology, ready to answer your questions. And then if anything comes up, I always take them for Jenna, or if I've got to go into a meeting, she knows that, then she knows she can't contact me. But just having that second monitor of a camera on, yeah, that way you know that I'm always here if she needs me.
That for me as a woman in advice is very reassuring, because we already have we don't have enough women in the profession, and when they do come through and make that commitment to be a part of this in studies, you want them to stay and be celebrated. So well done to both of you for making the synergy work. It's an inspiring relationship. Dan, if you could wave a wand for our profession at the moment, to help people with the challenges that they have that could be hurting their emotional well-being, causing a strain on their mental health, how could we do things differently?
I think ultimately, and I know a lot of people might roll their eyes back to hearing this, but we do need to keep conversations going. We do not need to bury what's happened in the past. We need to acknowledge it. We've got to encourage people to continue talking about it. As I said at the start, there were certain events that would take around 2019. A lot of people don't want to know about it, but advisors actually went through that.
Yes.
And it's important to them that they can talk about it. And through those conversations, I've had other people start telling me their problems. And it's sort of it's a problem that's out there for everyone. We just need to keep conversations going. We just need to have people in a situation where they can have their own war tents or their own 10K clubs.
Yeah.
Where they can connect with each other and comfortably say how they're feeling without the fear of being judged. And then I think touching base about Royal Commission, when I said about being vulnerable in that, is because we were so exposed in front of the nation. I think that's actually reserved a lot of people to keep their emotions to themselves and to keep their struggles to themselves. That makes it harder for them to actually reach out to people because of image of what it's going to look like for them, which could be a byproduct from how we look like from the Royal Commission. So if I could change anything, I'd say have those conversations.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to stand up and say if you need help. Don't be afraid to, put your hand up and say you're willing to help people and just be there for each other.
Yeah, and testament to you is that you've created a lot of spaces for people to be able to do that. I think that's a very valid message for people in our profession or any other profession that's facing challenges that are impacting their emotional well-being and their mental health. Talk about it, because we can't just all be expected to keep it together. If it's not working through different circumstances, we need to be able to get the support that we need. Yeah, so thank you, Dan, for role modeling that kind of support that the community can have.
And I get that strength from people like you, Dawn, has done it as well, and people like Ellie Fordham and Ben and everyone out there. So it's sort of like, yeah, thank you guys as well for inspiring me to do this.
You've mentioned Ben, Ellie, there's Angelique, there's Harry,
Harry,
there's Rocky,
Andrew
Andrew.
Lane.
You've got a lot of people that you're really close to in the circles, matching each other's passion, right? I feel like it kind of ping pongs around. How do you find, I guess maybe as a tip for people that are building their community and they're wanting to find people that they can connect to and be inspired by, what's your advice to them about creating that community for yourself?
Go out there and do it, or look for it. If you don't know where to, just start finding people in the industry, like all the advisors that Dawn interview with her podcast, things like that. Just reach out to them and say hello. Just a quick hi on LinkedIn or Facebook Messenger and that. For those looking for those communities or wanting to do it, just do it. Best thing I could say is don't hold back. Networking is definitely the key to our profession in every aspect. And yeah, reach out to your lecturers for those students listening, for advisors who are studying. Get on to the forums, find out who's in the same courses as you, and just go to events and learn to meet new people.
What are you setting your eyes on now? What's got your sole focus that I know once you've got your eye on it, eye on the prize, you're going to get it, Dan. So
Okay.
what's next?
I would love to do a national tour of one of the road shows for anybody out there for the AFA or FTA or the FAA that's listening right now. Just remember, I'm out there in the background. Ultimately, for me, my dream would be just to do a presentation on stage
Okay.
in front of lots of people, and that's where I'm aiming for one day. I'm going to be up there. I'll probably be really scared because I used to be really stage nervous of the stage, but I'm still willing to give it a try and just, yeah. I've also got the song that I'm going to go up on stage to.
And what song is that?
Thunderstruck by AC/DC. So I could think, what else can really pump a room up than AC/DC?
You know what I really feel, you know how you say everybody's a rock star? Like, I know you believe it, you see it and you live it, right? Like, you know, for me, like, I'll be like, oh, all financial advisors, we are superheroes. For you, it's like, you've got the song Thunderstruck in the background in your head. We all see ourselves in this elevated way, you know, to be able to feel passionate about our jobs. Maybe that's the tip, right? What's your financial planning drag persona? That's what it is. For you, it's the rock star. For me, maybe it's an anime character somewhere on a Marvel or a Marvel character. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. And I definitely, you're so valued in a community. And for listeners, whether you're in advice or you're not in advice, I'm sure Dan doesn't mind you connecting up to him, you know, so that you can expand your community. Yeah, just thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me, Dawn. It's been a pleasure.
Subscribe now to be notified of new episodes. Let's change how the story ends. The information discussed in this episode includes strategies that are general in nature, as everyone's situation is different and the information discussed does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. You should always seek personal advice in regards to your own personal circumstances.